My name is Faye-Ann Lee. I'm a filmmaker. I live in New York City. I've been on a bit of an odyssey for the last 10 years, and I wanted to share my story with you, so here it is.
A little film you probably never heard of is making some noise on one San Francisco screen.
And for very good reason. It's a beautiful movie, very funny, and very romantic as well. It's called Falling for Grace.
Falling for Grace star Faye-Ann Lee.
Not only is she the film's writer, but she's also the lead actress, producer, director, and distributor of the film.
What didn't you do in this movie?
I wasn't the caterer.
Grace has always been on the outside.
Look who's on the cover. Isn't she the one who's supposed to throw the party tonight?
Of the in crowd.
God, she looks incredible.
Are you nervous?
No, why would I be nervous?
I started my career as an actress in the world of theater, and I was very lucky because my very first job was the Broadway show Miss Saigon, and that clearly jump-started my ability to get work in the theater world. But then when I transitioned into film and television, it became very clear to me why my father kept warning me that there are very, very few good opportunities out there for Asian American actors.
Mrs. Lord's inside. You can go right in.
Oh, thank you very much. It's Ming, right? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
You see, my husband is Adam Chandler. He's a huge benefactor of this hospital.
I know who you are, and I'm doing everything I can to speed up the lab work.
You have to help her here. No hospital.
And then I realized that there are very few good roles for Asian Americans,
right.
and I realized it's probably because there are not too many people writing, for us. So I thought maybe I should be part of that solution. I wrote my first script, and it started to place in writing competitions, and producers started to take note of it. And one particular producer called me and said, "We really love the script, we're interested in buying it, but could you change one thing? Could you change the lead character from an Asian American woman to a Hispanic woman like Gale?" And so I realized that if I wanted to get this movie done, I probably would have to raise the money and produce it myself. And that's what I did.
Her concept was to make a mainstream film.
And I decided to do a little trailer as though, the entire movie had been made.
And it hadn't been.
And it hadn't been.
She filmed a few scenes and showed them to prospective investors. It took 4 years to get the money.
There were some bumpy moments along the way, and I ended up actually even directing the movie. It wasn't my intention, but things happened, and I finished the movie in 2006, and we had some great news. We got into the Tribeca Film Festival as one of the 20 movies in competition that year.
MTV Chi decided to tag along with director Faye-Ann Lee.
We had sold out screenings night after night after night. Everyone who worked on the film was so excited because we saw for ourselves how the audience was reacting to this movie. And we thought for sure there would be some Hollywood distributor that would come in and pick up this feel-good, all-American film. But that didn't happen. In fact, we didn't even get a single bite.
It's one thing to shoot a movie.
Right.
It's another thing to have someone distribute your movie.
I spoke to a couple of big distributors, and they said, "We think you really know how to write and direct," but they wouldn't pick up the movie because with an Asian American protagonist, they didn't think it was mainstream enough. So I thought, well, what do I do now? Do I have to distribute the movie too? And I guess the answer was yes.
Pretty much.
It looks big budget, but it's an independent film without a major distributor. So they've come up with in-your-face promotion.
Hi, would you like a fortune cookie?
I didn't want to give up. And I decided that if Hollywood wouldn't distribute this movie, then I was going to bring it to mainstream Americans myself. I started to get theatrical bookings in different parts of the country. I wanted to see for myself whether mainstream Americans would actually like this movie. They called me and they said the movie's doing really well, and will you please come back and do a Q&A with the audience?
Enjoyed the quality of the family values. That was so refreshing.
It's a romantic comedy with a lot of good twists in it.
I cried and I learned something, and
I cried too.
you know.
And our neighbor said we had to
see it.
We're walking out, a lady asked me if we had seen it and if we were going, and when I said yes, and she said it's absolutely wonderful.
Can everybody hear that? Have I overcome any challenges as an Asian American female filmmaker? I'm still trying to overcome the challenges. This is a serious question, actually, because...
And I just hope that the country wakes up and starts making more movies like this instead of a lot of the unfortunate things they've been putting out.
You know, we're all the same. What it boils down to, we all want the same thing. We want to be accepted, we want to feel loved. And I think the movie did a great job of that.
It was wholesome, it was great, it had you laughing, it had you near tears, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is a movie that I will see over and over.
It was a very good movie.
I recommend it to all the parents to let the kids see this movie and learn about other culture, other people's life.
It's funny, it's emotional. I cried twice. I laughed hysterically. And
very well written.
Oh yeah,
very nice.
Extremely well written.
So many of us can relate to it, whatever our cultural background is.
This was her second time seeing it. She saw it also yesterday, and she still enjoyed it.
I brought a friend.
Yeah, she brought me.
When I started my journey as a theater actress, I never would have imagined that one day I would be traveling from city to city, promoting a movie that I wrote, directed, and starred in. But the biggest gift I've received from my own film was the opportunity to meet people from all walks of life, all across the country, who've shown me how incredibly welcoming and generous Americans truly are. It is really the audience that keeps me going from town to town to town. This has been the ride of my life, and I would not trade it for anything.